tell the people your view on campaign financing.
Well, I don't necessarily have a particular view on campaign financing just because of how insidious it is. I mean, people talk all the time about how they're against PACs and super PACs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what a PAC stands for? PAC?
Political Action Committee, something like that.
Yes, correct. If you and a few coworkers get together
Mm-hmm.
and put out a radio ad, that can be seen as a PAC.
Yeah, it can be. It is. It is. But
So I guess on more of like a semantic level, my issue when it comes to campaign financing, quote unquote, is
mhm.
just more or less we need to figure out what we're aiming for when it's money in politics or what exactly we're talking about. Because saying we're against PACs can be anything. It's a very broad spectrum.
I feel you, and I can understand where you're coming from. It's just my perspective on it is like specifically when you have candidates like Bernie Sanders, AOC, the quote unquote supposedly progressive candidates, they're supposed to be anti basically corporate money. But for example, AOC and the Democrats now are now taking quote unquote PAC money that is from like these corporate donors. It's like the whole point of you guys was supposed to be not to take corporate money. And it's like the people that follow you, the people that support you, like supported you because like that was one of the linchpins of why they support you, especially for somebody like Bernie, who had a large like grassroots campaign, campaign funding. It's like he wasn't taking corporate money. And it's like now the fact that you have your basically your underlings, I'm not trying to shit on AOC and say like, she's not her own, in her own right, but people that follow the mold of Bernie Sanders, you feel me? It's like when you have them taking political money, and it's like now, like there's been stories about like literally people that worked inside the Sanders campaign where they literally had to fight tooth and nail, not against him, literally against the people running his campaign on not taking corporate donations, because it's like that's why the people that support you, the people, and not even just people that donate to you, the people that go out and canvas for you, you feel me, for free, like leave their jobs for X amount of times to go out and raise this money for you so you don't have to take that corporate money. That's like a smack in the face to them, in my opinion. Because although, like you said, it could be a group of friends that starts a PAC, right?
Right.
Like, so his grassroots funding can be, semantically considered a PAC. But it's like PACs, in my mind, always get co-opted by these corporations some way, somehow. And it's like, the best way to just stay away from that is to do what Bernie's been doing. Like these progressives, they're not losing. They're not losing because they're not getting enough money. They're losing because they're not fighting the corporate Democrats. And literally, whenever they don't get something done, and their followers like somewhat, because we saw with AOC outright voted for the CARES Act, turned around and lied to everybody and said that she didn't, and her followers still supported her. And it's like, at what point are we going to hold these people accountable for going against everything we like them for in the first place? And that's honestly, that's why I'm so vocal on, criticizing Bernie Sanders and criticizing AOC, because we're not going to fix the Democratic Party. Like, and that's the thing.
I get that. But to, I guess, counter your point, you're not necessarily going to fix the Democratic Party, but if you're running as a Democrat, it's almost imperative that you take corporate money in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, but it's like, no.
It's part of the game. I don't agree with it, but it's part of the game.
It's part of the Joe Biden game. It's part of the Hillary Clinton game. It's part of the Barack Obama game. That was not what got Bernie in the game at all. Like, I'm sorry to say that, but it's not. And it's like, literally, we need to get people on board with Bernie and his policies, because it's like why Joe Biden won the nomination, right?
Well, there are reasons.
There's a litany of reasons, but when it comes to the polls, you had an influx of Black people, specifically Black women, going out to vote for Joe Biden. When it came to Super Tuesday.
Yeah.
And then you got to add on to the fact of basically everybody dropping out and teaming up on them, basically. And
within a few days before Super Tuesday, who was it?
Warren, or no, not Warren. Klobuchar, Buttigieg,
Amy Klobuchar and um, Pete Buttigieg were the
And
two big ones who,
Andrew Yang too, man. And that was
yeah,
somebody I
well,
liked.
I wasn't the biggest fan of Yang, but I liked some of his talking points.
Well, I liked him because of the UBI. The UBI, especially now during the pandemic, now like literally everybody's taking his idea, literally. Like
Oh yeah,
as of right now, anybody's COVID like bill proposal, aside from Mitch McConnell's, obviously, because he's not for
is UBI based.
yeah, Mitch McConnell's not for helping the American people at all, so he's not going to have the UBI in there. But
Really quick,
you had Mitt Romney proposing a fucking like UBI. Like, what world do we live in when
our world do we live in?
What world do we live in where Mitt Romney's talking about UBI and marching for Black Lives Matter? What world do we live in?
The same world where Mitch McConnell basically looks like a scared little turtle that just came out of his shell for like
Wait,
2 seconds.
he does look like a turtle. He does look like a turtle. But you were about to say
But
something?
what was that?
I said you were about to say something. I look like you were about to say something.
Um, yeah, when it comes to corporate backing and whatnot, when it comes to Bernie, right?
Mm-hmm.
I looked through a lot of his campaign finance, and while he was running, he wasn't taking a lot of corporate backing.
He
I
was
mean, you
taking
can see
little to none.
exactly, yeah, you can see exactly who donated and how much. And a lot of them were smaller PAC groups. Like I want to say it was like Nurses to Save America donated like $2,000 to him or something like that. And
Yeah,
that's
but they're not
basically a
corporate PACs. They're not corporations. They're not the
yeah.
fucking Koch brothers that like Bernie. Like you have these people actually considering taking money from.
Well, it's because of the amount of money they're able to pump into a campaign.
But it's not money.
Both
With money,
soft money, dark money.
money,
Yeah,
money's not the problem with the candidates. The problem with the candidates is their inability to critique the established Democrats that they're supposed to be opposing. That is their problem.
money would help.
See, no, you don't need the money, bro. If Bernie was to stand, Bernie was already there on the stage. If he would have critiqued Joe Biden's record, he probably would have won. More than likely would have won. The reason why
I
he
don't
did it,
disagree with that.
yeah, the reason why he did it is because that would entail him having to critique Barack Obama as well, which he doesn't want to do because he's afraid of losing the black demographic. Because the black community, with especially older black women that went out and voted for Joe Biden for the primaries in Super Tuesday, are
Did so
convinced.
because of his association to Obama.
Well, that and also you got the media. They also watch a lot of mainstream TV media that keeps fear mongering Bernie Sanders as fucking Stalin, the evil socialist, literally
Well,
the same
this
tactic
ties
that
in.
Fox News uses. If you ask me, but go ahead.
This ties into our, I guess, next topic, right?
Okay.
So people wanted to criticize Bernie Sanders for saying that Cuba had a good education system, right?
No, specifically their reading, the literacy
Right.
rate, which is a fact. But the thing is, you don't say that during a presidential election.
In the same breath, the same people, the same news outlets that criticized Bernie and crucified him basically for saying that.
Mm-hmm.
4 years ago, Trump literally quoted Mussolini.
No, take it back even further than that. I'll specifically forget when Obama said the same fucking thing about Cuba. Obama said the same thing.
And he was president for 8 years. So,
but he's the black guy with a Muslim name, so they're not going to critique him. He's basically Jesus at this point when it comes to fucking Democrats. So, and it's sad because it's like you had somebody that like literally even somebody like because I was a diehard Tulsi supporter. Like I at this point I'm not gonna lie, like I donated money to her. You feel me? Like I genuinely believed in her message, her anti-war message. She was for anti-drugs, abolishing the war on drugs. Like she was for a lot of the policy because I'm like as a black man, people ask me like one, I get other black men that ask me like, why do I even like think about participating in the political voting system? And it's because I believe that if we learn and understand the power of our vote, then we can enact change. You see that going on with the protests now. We recognize the power we have with our voice, but we're still having trouble recognizing the power we have politically. Because when I see people telling me to go vote for Biden, like now the whole thing is vote for Biden because Trump's so racist. But we'll get to that topic in a minute. But just going back to Tulsi, like that's somebody that I supported hard body, and she's somebody that cut out like taking corporate PAC money. She was somebody that used to take PAC money and stop, and look at her popularity she gained. And it's
All
like,
right.
but if you put somebody like her, somebody like Bernie, maybe even somebody like AOC, I'm not saying AOC's obviously, I don't think she's ready to run for president at all right now, but like put somebody who's reasonable, who can like confront Trump on policy, because Hillary Clinton can't do that. Joe Biden can't do that.
Oh yeah, no.
Because they agree with him on policy. They can't do that. Bernie Sanders is somebody like what they all Bernie and Trump literally only have crossover on trade. That's it, really.
Pretty much.
Like
And
Tulsi and Trump is on war, but then Trump like literally like reneged on that. So
I mean, yeah, his actions speak louder than words.
yeah. And those are the reasons why, like, to those of you that don't know, well, you don't know because this is going to be the first video on American Autopsy, but I am a former mild Trump supporter, and I supported him based off of trade. I supported him because of his stances on war. Like when you have a president specifically calling out the military-industrial complex by name and saying that they're the reason why we're in these wars, like he said that verbatim. I'm gonna post a video on the page later on, but like that blew my mind that he was saying these things. And it's like this is post when he won. Like I was a supporter of him in office. But then gradually I started seeing him do these like the tax reform that didn't make sense to me. Like when the tax reform first happened, like I was like a political novice. You feel me? I was a virgin of politics. Right. So I didn't really understand. I just like Trump because he was shitting on China. But later on, as I learned more, I'm like, oh, these tax reforms were shit. Like it's basically like Paul Ryan, like he was probably like jerking himself off when Trump was signing this shit. Dude, like this is like you realize like Paul Ryan, this has been his lifelong dream. That's why he politics. That's all he was in politics for, was tax reform. He did it and he did it. But
well, really quick, it's also I have to point out that Paul Ryan was a fan of Rage Against the Machine, and he is literally the machine. That Zach De La Rocha and Tom Morello kind of raged against. So,
well, that's the hypocrisy of politicians, bro. Unfortunately, like just like you got, just speaking of Bernie Sanders, you got somebody like Bernie Sanders who is an independent candidate who says he's a nightmare for Wall Street. Wall Street is afraid of him, but yet you don't return Ralph Nader's calls. Like you don't, like you feel me? Like you're not, bro. You're like.
I wonder why.
You're the big teddy bear that comes out and says, oh, we need Medicare for all, raise taxes on the rich, and then you don't do nothing about it. Like, that's literally what Bernie Sanders is. And
it's funny that you said teddy bear because Burlington, Vermont, it's not their state capital, but it's a major city in Vermont, right? Mm-hmm. It's known for their teddy bears.
Wow. I'm trying to go up to the New England area, dude. I'm trying to do some fishing up there one day.
Yo, let's do it.
I'm down for it. Yeah, stop by Bernie Sanders and shit on his lawn. But why would you come shit?
I don't condone that.
Why would you?
He's probably got Secret Service or like someone out there.
Why would you come all this way to shit on my lawn? It's not nice to shit on people's lawns at all. Medicare for all. I'll give it to you. Just don't shit on my lawn. But it's like, and it's weird because it's like Bernie is somebody like, and you know this. I was never a fan of Bernie. Like. I just now, like I would say within the last 4 months, I've come to actually dislike Bernie a lot, damn near hate Bernie. But it's like, I was just always a fan of Bernie's policies. I was a champion of his policies. Because it's like, and I liked how he said, not me, us, in terms of the movement, the labor.
Oh, yeah.
And like how he included people of color. You see people like Nina Turner, around him, Killer Mike around you, like all these like figureheads, in terms of celebrities. I feel like those are celebrities we should be listening to, not fucking LeBron. You feel me? Not like people that actually are putting their money where their mouth is, that are actually doing the action.
When it comes to celebrities, me and you differ a lot on this, but I think you should take most people in general's opinions with a grain of salt, right?
We don't disagree. I'm flat out for stop listening to these fucking celebrities. I'm for that. We don't disagree on that. If that's what you're for, I thought that's.
I'm not saying we should stop listening to them, but we should understand like, oh, hey, if someone's saying this, they might have monetary backing in this topic,
But it's like
or
whenever these
they
celebrities speak, it takes away from the real issue. Like it goes away from arguing about police reform to niggas online arguing about, yo, like Drew Brees said this, and now it's talking. Now I have to defend Drew Brees because it's like he has the right to say whatever the fuck he wants to politically. If he agrees with Trump, then he agrees with Trump. If he doesn't agree with people kneeling, then he doesn't agree. That doesn't mean he fucking hates black people. I feel like that's how a lot of people took it. Like you feel me? Like, and it's like this is a guy who has been vocal on critiquing Trump.
well, okay, if we're talking Drew Brees and we're getting off
But
topic
that's the
here,
point. I don't want to talk Drew Brees. That's the problem. That's the point. That's what I'm bringing up.
can I?
Go ahead. You can talk here. I'm just saying, but that's what
Okay,
happens.
so the Laura Ingraham specifically, right?
Okay.
And again, I take her opinion
You
at this
shouldn't
point
add
with
nothing at all.
with like
Stricken off the
a
video.
gallon's worth of salt. But
Just don't put it in the
just a few years ago, she told LeBron to shut up and dribble when he was supporting Kaepernick, right?
I said the same
And
thing.
saying, look, hey, we need to listen to black athletes when they vocalize their opinions, right? About a week and a half ago, she's calling Drew Brees a great American Christian
I know.
patriot.
It's Fox News, bro. It's fucking
I
Fox
get that.
News.
I get that. But the discourse I'm trying to make is it's people like that who have a platform and have a voice who are they're the problem. Or at least part of the problem.
I get what you mean, but if Drew Brees, it went from disagreeing with Drew Brees on Kaepernick, right? And it's like, okay, cool, disagree with him on Kaepernick. But then I saw people starting attacking him for being a Trump supporter. It's like, if he wants to be a Trump supporter, he has the right to be a Trump supporter.
Exactly.
Like, why are you attacking him for that? And literally, and this will go into my later point in the Trump scapegoating. We'll get to that, but I keep wanting, but I'm not trying. I'm not trying.
I mean, you can go there now. Like
yeah, because I feel like we've covered campaign financing enough. So Trump scapegoating, and I guess I'll start here. Like for me, in my political journey, I've come to the conclusion that the Democrats, specifically the liberal agenda, is literally the cause of a lot of the political rot that we've been suffering for around the last 50 to 60 years. I would say post Nixon era. Even before, I can say you can even argue even before then. But when you talk about like economics, right? And this, I'm going off of what economists say, specifically Mark Blyth. That's somebody that you guys should check out. He's really good when it comes to the economy. His pieces on what is it? Austerity. His pieces on that and Trumpism and just the overall economy, like how he breaks it down, is really good. But literally, I've come to the conclusion that you can tie a lot of why Trump supporters like voted for Trump to the economy. It's like when you have, 8 years of Bill Clinton where he's like deregulating Wall Street left and right, just deregulating everything, which was something that was started by Jimmy Carter. People forget about that. Jimmy Carter was somebody who started deregulating Wall Street. They wouldn't let him go after Glass-Steagall though, which he wanted to go after. It finally took Bill Clinton to go after that. They wouldn't even let Ronald Reagan and fucking Bush Sr. go after it. But when you have Bill Clinton enacting NAFTA, the '94 crime bill, the Communications Act of '90, is it '98 or '99?
I want to say it's 98. I could be wrong.
Yeah, the Communications Act of '98, where basically it allowed for these monopolies on the media now, which is why basically they all say the same shit now. Did you want to say something?
Oh no.
Oh, I saw you like doing this. Usually that means you want to.
No, I'm just saying like they formed together like a monopoly,
Yeah,
quite literally.
Yeah, and you give you bolster George Bush. You basically give him the power to like progress the bills that you put in place, Bill Clinton, and he enhanced that. And then you have Barack Obama come in when finally the boat almost sank from too much weight. You have Obama come in and bail out the people that sank the boat in the first place. And then you have 8 years, like, kick over 6 million families out of their houses. Like,
under Obama policy.
Under Obama, for militarize the police. You're the first black president, and instead of making steps to demilitarize them, not even defund, demilitarize them, so that they're not terrorizing these fucking cities and shit like that. You further militarize them. You put cages on the border, like the cages, like the pictures you see of, they're saying Trump putting kids in cages and shit. I'm not saying that he's not, but the pictures that the media is showing you is from the Obama era. Obama and Biden built those cages. Obama and Biden made the infrastructure, the current infrastructure that we have. And people forget ICE was started in 2001 by George W. Bush.
Right.
In response to September 11th, because they thought fucking Islamic terrorists were crossing the border. Whatever.
Somehow.
Whatever. When really, no, they're flying right over your fucking heads and you guys are letting them in, you fucking dumbasses. And they're fucking Saudi Arabians. But
who we still support.
We still support.
Immensely.
Yeah, even when they fucking chop up journalists in their fucking backyards, we still support them. But
or another thing, this is slightly off topic, but
this is exactly on topic. I was going to get to this. Go ahead.
Back in, I want to say it was December, there was a shooting at a Pensacola Navy base, right?
Oh, that was a Saudi Arabian, right?
Saudi Arabians. It was terrorism, right? That's what we're deeming it as.
Then when they found out he was Saudi Arabian, it got quiet real quick.
We're not going to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
And we're still going to send money and arms to Saudi Arabia. We will still bail them out whenever.
Well, you know why they do that?
What?
You know why they do that, right?
Why?
Because they uphold our currency, bro. The petrodollar, baby. They're the second largest oil reserve in the world behind Venezuela.
Yeah.
Behind Venezuela, they're the second largest oil reserve in the world, which is why we're constantly trying to overthrow that fucking country. And Maduro's fucking styling now all of a sudden. But when you have most of the world coming to them to buy oil, and you tell them to force those people to buy oil with the American dollar, that is why our American dollar, that's why we're able to spend money so willy-nilly. It's called modern monetary theory, but it's MMT on steroids, to the point where it's like, not only do you have your own economy, like we're a sovereign nation with our own economy, we force the rest of the world to operate on our economy.
You're not wrong.
And it's like,
I know, at least with the petrodollar, this started back in 1933 when Standard Oil went over to Saudi Arabia and started doing business with the Saudi family, the royal family.
So that's why when you hear people tell you we can't have free healthcare, we can't have free college and shit like that, they're full of shit, because it's like, y'all have the money, y'all just want to give it to the richest people in the country because you're in their fucking pockets. And it's like the same thing, going back to that, but going back to what I was saying about the neo-lib agenda. 8 years of people being hammered by Obama, and a lot of Trump voters voted for Obama. You had these voters coming from voting for Bill Clinton to flipping and not voting for George Bush. A lot of them didn't vote for George Bush. They hated Bush so much, they went and voted for Obama. And then when they saw like, oh, like, what the fuck? All these fuckers are full of shit. You have the fucking game show host with a raccoon on his head come in and tell you, oh, I'm going to fight China. I'm going to bring Giles back here. Coal, more fucking coal. Like, at this point, they're like, look, we know he's full of shit, but guess what? He's the only person that's actually speaking to us. And it's like, when you add in all these things, like, you can't, like, you could disagree with them for voting for him, but I feel like it's disingenuous for people, like your everyday person, but it's damn near criminal for your journalism system to chalk it up to just people voting for him being racist. Like, that's just ridiculous. Like, you're not a journalist if you're saying that. You're not doing your due diligence. You're not doing your job, and you're misinforming people. And that is my problem.
I agree with that, but I think it's important to definitely highlight the, if we're putting it lightly, racially insensitive history of Donald J. Trump.
Yeah, but let's also take into account that most of the people that detract from him now are people that used to chill with him and fuck with him.
You're not wrong.
So it's like at what point? And then when you learn that most of these like celebrities and shit like that publicly shit on him, and I'll bring up celebrities solely because of the fact of you get a lot of people that get their news tidbits from social media, and
unfortunately,
celebrities talking shit about him, that people don't realize that most of these motherfuckers are signed to the same talent agencies as a lot of these Democratic politicians who are tied into Hollywood. which is why you have like they consider conspiracy theorist shit like I don't think it's conspiracy at this point to know that the CIA is tied into Hollywood. If you don't believe that, I'm not gonna say you're dumb. I would say go read into the shit.
You're misinformed.
You're misinformed because the CIA is definitely tied into Hollywood. Thus being the government is tied into Hollywood.